Chapter 53, Mars's Moons on Fire. Belching outrageous flame far into chaos. Paradise Lost, Book 10, line 232. It is impossible to describe the effect of these fearful words. Every man sprang to his feet. The windows were thrown open, and there, in that cloudless sky, rolled the moons, just above the horizon. Aruna shining with blazing light, Rohenza wrapped in crimson flames. These phenomena, of course, could not have been seen by day, under the bright light of the sun. But the worst is yet to come, continued Asterion. Nerve yourselves up to receive the news like men, with calmness and courage. I took their altitudes. Both moons have sunk 20 miles below their former positions. If this goes on, destruction awaits our world. Calmness and courage? Great heavens! What assembly of men, what kingdom or nation could have received such appalling news with calmness? 'Twas like the voice of the angel announcing the doom of the cities of the plain, like the handwriting on the wall announcing the downfall of a kingdom, like the almighty voice foretelling the coming flood. So this voice of science revealed a far more awful fate, the destruction of a world. The boldest scientists trembled. Strong and brave men staggered to their seats and bowed their faces on their hands. Not a sound escaped their lips. Every tongue seemed locked. The silence was profound. The astronomer royal hurriedly entered an alcove on one side of the room. This was the telegraphic office. An operator stood by the Ospherion. "Quick," said he, "signal my son at the Royal Observatory. He is engaged in making observations on the rings of Saturn." The operator touched a key. The next instant the bell sounded. All listened. A voice issued from the instrument. "Good evening, Father. We are anxiously awaiting your return with news from the asteroids. All present wish me to convey their compliments and congratulations to our dear friend Asterion." "Leave Saturn. Take the observation of our moons through the equatorial. Ascertain their exact altitude and azimuth. Compare results with observations of last week. Note appearance of the satellites and report as quickly as possible." The professors and scientists clustered around the alcove. The audience stood in groups awaiting the reply. "The descent of the moons was unquestionably caused by that severe meteor shower on the surface," said one of the professors. "Meteoric shower?" exclaimed Asterion. "When and where?" "Last night," replied Solaris. "Did you not see it on your return?" "See it? I was 10 million miles from here." Solaris related the phenomenon. "From what quarter of the heavens?" asked Asterion. "The radiant point was from the west." "This is extraordinary. On my return, in passing through the meteoric belt in the southwest quarter, we encountered showers of more than usual severity, and I, noticing remarkable phenomenon, evidently of a cosmo-electric origin, going on in certain parts of the belt." "What did they seem like?" Undulatory movements, almost of a convulsive character, as if the main body was throwing off detached portions from its masses." "That shower was certainly a detached mass. Our regular annual showers would not take place till fall." "What could be the cause of this extraordinary disturbance?" asked one of the professors. "It may possibly have been cometic," replied Asterion. "I discovered one at a great distance in the west quarter of the heavens. It was too far away and faintly defined to be made out." "Then this must be a new one," said Solaris. "All our comets are catalogued, their elements and periods of return calculated. None are due here so early in the season." "Hand me the table of logarithms, meteoroids, and periodic comets," said Asterion. One of the professors placed the books on the table. Asterion drew out his tablets and began rapidly to figure up an intricate astronomical calculation. The bell of the Aspherion sounded. All bent forward in silence. The voice of the astronomer's son was heard. "Observations completed. Moon present a terrible appearance. Large portions of Arunia's surface enveloped with gaseous clouds in full combustion. Spectroscopic analysis shows burning hydrogen. Rohanza's fumarous spouting torrents of volcanic lava. Both moons have sunk 20 miles below former position. Needles of electromagnetic apparatus violently agitated, showing great cosmoelectric and magnetic disturbances. Great heavens! Dear father, what does this portend?" Breathe not a word of what you have seen to anyone. I will be in touch with you by midnight. Have all instruments in readiness, replied Solaris. Asterion finished his calculation, descended from the platform, and entered the alcove. Signal Ethervolt Station number 4, South Pole, said he, and the operator touched a key. The next instant the bell sounded. Asterion spoke through the Asterion. Operator? Yes? Was the reply. 'Tis I, Asterion, at the Grand Duke's palace. Direct the superintendent to have my Ethervolt in readiness, batteries in order, fresh supply of food and water tomorrow morning by 10 o'clock, without fail. Aye, aye, replied the operator. What does this mean, Asterion? Queried the Duke in surprise. Your Highness will please direct the officers to notify Captain Volanto to have his airship ready. I leave for the South Pole immediately. Nay, Asterion, why this haste? Exclaimed several professors. I embark on my Ethervolt tomorrow morning for the trip to the meteoric belt, 60 million miles distance in the west quarter, to ascertain the disturbance going on there. Exclamations of astonishment and dissent arose from the assembly. Nay, Asterion, you must not go, said the Astronomer Royal. You need rest. There's no rest for me while these meteoric offshoots are flying along this line of our orbit, ready to spring on us unawares, like lions from their lairs, spreading death and destruction around us, and perhaps beat our moons down still further. They may come any moment, perchance tomorrow, the next week, the next month. Shall I dally here in ignoble ease in the face of this threatening danger? No, I must be up and about my business. I must haste to the field where these enemies are gathering, find out all I can about their forces, calculate their distances, dimensions, speed, and period of their assault. This accomplished, we are forearmed, and can make preparations for the protection of those near and dear to us. But why this haste? Exclaimed several. You had no rest for weeks. Nor for weeks to come until these problems are solved. Delays are dangerous. Time presses. The events demand instant action. Then waving his hand. Ho! There! My airship! He cried. 'Tis in readiness! Called out Captain Volanto from the door. Farewell, gentlemen, said Asterion, striding through the throng, Vidion and Burras by his side. If it be the will of heaven that I return, you shall know all. By heaven, my friend, you shall not stir this night, exclaimed Altifor, advancing in front and laying his hand firmly on his shoulder, while the dukes, Astronomer Royal, and professors clustered around him. Asterion glanced around with a proud smile. So you would detain me by force? You shall not go, replied Altiferma firmly. Asterion's brow grew dark. For a moment it seemed he would scatter the throng like chaff. Many shrank back, overawed by his glance. Suddenly there was a movement in the throng, and a sweet voice murmured, Will you not stay for my sake? And the Princess Sulima, her countenance wreathed in a bright smile, stood before him. This intrepid man, who had faced dangers and death in their most awful forms, whose dauntless soul nothing in the heavens above or earth beneath could for a moment appall, trembled, bowed his head, sank to his knee, pressed her hand fervently to his lips, while a faint blush mantled his cheeks. Princess, he murmured, your slightest request is law to me. I will remain. 'Twill give great joy to your friends, she replied, and to all who esteem and love you. The Astronomer Royal appointed a conference with the professors and scientists to be held the following day at the Royal Observatory, and the assembly departed. This is a startling phenomenon, said one of the professors, so contrary to all known experience of the past, seems to subvert our astronomical science and even incline us to doubt the immutability of the Creator's laws. The mercy of that infinite being who holds this universe in the hollow of his hand is equal to his justice and power, said the Duke reverentially. I discovered a ray of hope, said Asterion. Nature is eminently conservative, and what she loses at one point, she gains in another. These outbursts of flame, by consuming and scattering into space much of our moon's materials, may, by reducing the volume and weight, stop their downward trajectory. We ascended to the balcony, overlooking the splendid grounds of the palace. Asterion gazed long and earnestly at these fiery orbs. rolling in the skies and casting their lurid glare around. Then, without a word, we retired to our apartments. The curtain has risen on the first act of this tremendous drama, and heaven only knows how it will end, I muttered, as I threw myself on the couch. An hour after, unable to sleep, I arose and passed out on the balcony. It was one of the sweetest of summer nights. The glittering stars shone in the celestial vault with a brilliance unknown on earth. The gentle breeze sighed through the trees. The song of the nightingale thrilled on the balmy air, mingled with the rippling of the fountains. The moon had sunk below the horizon, and high in the sky, amid the starry orbs, gleamed the soft and mellow light of my dear Mother Earth, with her companion, little snow-white Luna, close by her side. The window of Asterian's apartment was open. I glanced in. That intrepid voyager was sleeping as calmly as a little child on his couch, and as the soft rosy light of that evening star gleamed through the casement fell on his marble brow and noble countenance, they seemed illuminated with an almost celestial radiance.